Yeah, there we go. Okay, and I do have a presentation that we're going to go through, so I will be sharing my screen in a few minutes. But just generally, we're going to talk about the 3 strategies that I used, and I used it over and over. I've had multiple businesses over the 30 years. And one thing that I did learn, that the times that I did not set concrete goals and strategies to achieve them, I failed. And I had to go back and do it, and it made all the difference between one of my more significant times that it really made a difference is I was earning about $2,000 in a design business a year, and I had invested over $50,000 in that business. Hi, Denitra, how are you? But I had invested in that, and one of my mentors at the time really pushed me into setting goals, especially in that business. And when I did that and I really stuck to those goals, and we'll get into the meat of those, I absolutely the next year, I earned over $200,000, and I really never looked back. And I earned that consistently for a number of years until the housing market crashed, and then no one made any money then. But it really works, and you really have to ask yourself as a business owner, how are you going to run your business? How serious are you going to be about this whole thing being entrepreneur? Because a part of it is mindset as well as having the goals. So I'm going to share my screen, and then once I stop the sharing, we're actually going to talk about how to really do the goals. And I hope you were able to pull down the little worksheet. It seems really simple, but this little thing makes all the difference when you do it correctly. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. And anytime you have a question, just let me know. But up until then, if you could mute, that would be great, so that we can all hear what's going on. So Denitra, I see you joined us on your iPhone. Welcome, and we'll talk in a little bit about your own personal goals, because each of us are going to share that. So I'm going to go through the 3 strategies for outrageous success. And I call it that because the minute you take this goal setting thing, and not just goal setting, but the actually implementation and the strategies that go with goal setting, you will experience outrageous success. And it's just really where you want to be if you're going to do this thing. And I want you to look, as you're looking to your goals for next year, look at this year. What happened for you this year? And will that get you to where you need to be? And if the answer is no, which is, I'm assuming, is why you're here, then this is something that you really want to do. So just, if you want to mute your phones or your computers and just really sort of block out all the noise. We'll just be an hour. Hopefully we can get this done, because it really is, this process isn't difficult, it's just necessary. And for those of you who don't know me, and I think many of you who are here, and those of you who will be listening to the replay, you know that I am Cheryl Garrison, and I founded 50-something Lifestyle as a resource for women over 50. And I'm finding our Artesia online is definitely not in her 50s, but I'm finding that I am also being able to relate to some of the younger women who are doing this entrepreneurial thing. But the whole idea is that my goal is to help women become entrepreneurs and reinvent their lifestyle through the financial and the lifestyle freedom that you get by owning your own business. It can be very freeing, and the independence of, for me, having over 30 years of not having to punch a time clock has been wonderful. I cannot express how it changed my life, changed the life of my children, that I did not, that they did not have to come home to an empty house or to a sitter, because I was able to work from home or either work on site, but be home by the time they were out of school. So it's freeing when you are your own boss, but it's also hard work because you are your own boss. And this is why what we're going to do tonight will be so important as you move forward. So these are the topics that we're going to discuss. The first one's very briefly, and then we'll get into the meat of the goal setting. But we'll really talk about why set your goals and what's your mental strategy for achieving your goals. And then we'll talk about those 3 strategies and then the next steps that will be available to you. I posted this probably a week or so ago, but it really resonated with me, and I wanted to just share it tonight, that life has no remote control. Get up and change it yourself. And when I read this, it resonated because it's so true that, you know, it's real easy. I know for me, I love my remote control when it comes to watching television, to not have to get up. Probably a little over a week ago, our remote went out for our television, for our cable service, and we didn't have a remote. And it felt like, what am I going to do? I don't have a remote. And the kind that we have a smart TV, and you can't just go to the back of it and change channels and all that. So I was like, I can't do anything with my TV. I need a remote. And that was important to TV, but it can't be important to actually the life that you're going to be living. You have to make the effort to change it. And only you can do that. And the only way you can make the decision that you want something different and that you're willing to do what it takes. You're willing to get up and make that change. So one thing I want you to think about right now, and if you just write them down, we'll share them a little later, but as we're going through some of this, I want you to think of what is your #1 goal for 2019. If you could just think of that right now and jot it down. What is your goal for 2019? What changes are you going to make to get you where you want to go in not just your business, but in your life as well? And I want you to right now just write one of your biggest goals, the thing that you want to do mostly in 2019. And then we'll work with that in just a few minutes. So why do we set goals? There are several reasons you do that. And we'll talk through just a few of those right now. Goals are that roadmap to where you're going to go. It's like, I always use the analogy from here going to San Diego. If my goal is to get to San Diego, I can't head toward Flagstaff because I'm going in the wrong direction. So your goals are the roadmap to get you to where you want to go. If you want to earn a certain amount of money, then the goals that you set will get you step by step by step to that goal of whatever that amount is. Goals give you short-term motivation. Let's just say, if you say, okay, my goal for tomorrow is to talk to 3 people, and you accomplish that, that motivates you to keep going towards your long-term vision or goal, which is probably has a monetary outcome for you. So think about your goals, the things that you can do to see progress quickly or short term will motivate you to that long-term goal. Also, goals help make your day-to-day decisions easier in your business. You know what you're going to do. If your goal is to speak to a certain number of people, and you know if you do that, that you will have a certain amount of sales, then your day-to-day activities will reflect that. I always plan my day out the night before the next day. I have my priority list of what I'm going to do. I even sit down and do most of my posts the night before, so that the next day I know exactly what's going to happen in my business. And if I know that the next day I have a bunch of personal things I need to do, I can adjust those day-to-day decisions to make sure that I reach my daily priorities and goals. So goals help you make day-to-day decisions. They keep you focused on what's important. You're not spending a lot of time. Sometimes I know I get caught up in watching all these videos of coaches and everything. Anything I see that, oh, I can do this, I can look at this, is a free webinar, this is this, and then sometimes I lose focus because they're telling me to do this and do that and do this, and I'm trying to do all these things, and I have to come back to my goals because that's what I need to focus on. So goals help keep you focused on what's important in your business. And then goals help you achieve success and turn your dreams into reality. If you want to be a successful entrepreneur, if that's the thing you want, and I know some of you on the line here are those of you who are going to be listening to the replay. I know your goals. I know what you want for yourself. And those dreams can be true if you set the right goals and you do the strategies to help you achieve that success. So we're going to talk about those things tonight. Let's talk just a little bit about the mentality of goal setting. Great things never come from your comfort zone. You have to set goals that will stretch you. That's the mental part of goal setting. You can't be safe. You can't do something that it really doesn't take a lot of effort to do, because otherwise you'll do just that and you'll never grow. You have to set outrageous goals for yourself. And that mostly takes us out of our comfort zone. So the mentality of goal setting is to get out of what makes you comfortable and do something that's so big and so outrageous that it stretches you. Make sure your goals in every aspect of your business are big, and then you break them down, and we'll talk about that strategy. But you start with the great things, the big things, the I can't believe I'm setting this goal type of thing. I'll give you a story. A lot of what I do comes from my husband. My husband is one of the most disciplined, he amazes me. He reads constantly, and at one point we owned a service business that repaired chips and windshields. And when we started that business, we just thought we make some part-time money to supplement his salary and the money I was making in my other business. And one day he walked in and he says, well, I'm going to make $100,000 next year. And I looked at him and I thought he was crazy, because a windshield repair for each cost about $25 at the time they first came out. And that's a lot of windshields to repair. And I couldn't figure out, how are you going to do this? Why are you setting yourself up for this failure? So he's the one who really taught me the lesson that if you set your goals and outrageously, you stretch yourself to do it. And the next thing we knew, he had accounts from some of the major trucking companies, and he was being very innovative on how he was able to do windshield repair. And he took it to the corporations and was able to make $250,000 in that year. And it was all because he stretched. He knew that great things never come from being comfortable. So tonight, moving forward into 2019, stop being comfortable. Stretch yourself and let's set some goals that will take you to that level. And goals are not always just about money. They can be about other things in your life that you want to achieve, a weight loss. It could be about just having a more peaceful life. But you know, we're talking business, and the whole definition of business is having a product or service that you sell for the purpose of earning money. So get into that mindset that business is there for you to make money. It's not there to be a hobby. It's not there to say to people, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. The whole definition, if you look up the definition of what business is, it's to exchange a product or service for money. So let's get our minds together and let's think great things as we get ready to get into this whole thing of goal setting. And I just wanted to put this here because achieving your goals, no matter how big or how small, are so motivational. They keep you going in your business. If you ever have a day where you feel like this is just not going to work, just go back to those small things that have happened that will motivate you to keep going. Because if you're able to sell one product, you're able to sell 1 million. I repeat that, if you're able to sell one, you're able to sell 1 million. So what is your number between 1 and 1 million? And that's going to be where you'll set your goal, but that's what's going to motivate you to achieve that goal and to get it done. So any questions before we actually get into this whole, the exercise of the 3 strategies we're going to use? Any comments, any? Okay, we're going to move on. I just saw this and I wanted to share it before we get into the goals. A dream written down with a date is a goal. A goal broken down into steps become a plan. A plan backed by action makes your dreams come true. And believe it or not, these are the 3 strategies for goal setting that will change your business and change your life. Very simple. Create big goals is number 1. Break those big goals into smaller goals, which is number 2, and then write them down in an action plan. That's the secret to goal setting and the secret to business success through goal setting. So let's talk about creating big goals. Now, your goals, like I said, should be outrageous. And the reason you start with the biggest goal is because, again, we want to stretch. We want to be able to have something that we can just say, pull our arm and reach for, that's making us, that's going to motivate us to get it done. So don't set your first goal as something small. Make it big, because within every big goal are those smaller goals to reach that goal. Good example. If your goal is to, I have a friend whose goal is to open a restaurant. She wants to open a gluten-free restaurant. That's her big goal. Now, in order to do that, we had to take that big goal and break it into a smaller goal. And that smaller goal was that little baby step to a restaurant. And so her step to a restaurant was to start catering gluten-free products, getting different clients who wanted to eat good tasting gluten-free products, and began to provide those things to them that's on a smaller scale than her big goal. So she felt that if she could get enough of those, that done within the smaller goal without the overhead of a restaurant, she could begin to earn the money that she would need to establish that bigger goal. And then within that smaller goal, she had to write down all the action steps that it would take to get to even the smaller goal. So she broke it even further down. And that was to get good recipes, get the right equipment, do a marketing plan that worked. All those activities were the actions that it would take for her to reach the smaller goal. And then from that smaller goal, those steps that it would take to get the big goal. So when you think, another example is, and we're going to use this example, it's a monetary example. Let's say your goal is to earn $100,000 a year. Well, you're not going to just step out January 1 and start counting $1, $2, $3. You're going to break that into, if you're going to start breaking it into the annual, you're going to break it into your quarterly, you're going to break it into your monthly, you're going to break it into your weekly, even down to daily, what you need to do, what you need to earn to reach that big goal. So those are your smaller goals. And every one of them that you hit becomes the motivation to keep going. So that's how you break it down. And then your action plan is actually the things that you have to do on a daily basis to get it, to have it happen. So if you, let's say you're just starting your business, one of those action steps is to actually get your business established. And then secondly, you have to create a website. Then you have to create you have to create your logos, do your branding, your website. Then you have to decide which social media platform you're going to use, or if you're going to use offline advertising. Are you going to do workshops? Are you going to do speaking? Are you going to write books? Are you going to blog? Those are all the actions that it's going to take for you to reach that daily, that weekly, that monthly, that quarterly, and that annual goal to get to the big goal. So that's part of what we're going to do in our this next part. So this is where you're gonna get involved. So did you write down that overall goal that we talked about, the big goal? You can unmute now.
Yes, and of course you can hear me. I did, but just listening to you, I'm thinking I should have wrote it a little different.
It doesn't matter. Just share it right now, because this is going to be something that you'll do offline. I mean, once we've gone through this, I want you to go and do this exercise in you know, with some thought in mind.
Okay, I put down to have my product name and purpose known so that people would know who Purple Rose Creative was, and then that way they would buy from me. But if they don't know who you are, they can't buy from you. They, you know,
right,
that kind of circle thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So what you're doing, and that's a good goal. It's not very defined though.
Yes.
So you want a goal that's defined. So where do you want people to know about you? You want them to know about you online?
Yes.
Or do you want them to know about you in the craft stores or within the craft magazine? You know, where, so that's how you would write the goal.
Okay.
Okay, so you have to be more specific about it. And so if you look at that, if you have the worksheet, either you print it or you're looking at it online, the first part of this whole exercise is to brainstorm those big goals for your business, and I want you to also do personal goals for your personal life after this exercise. So you think of 2019 and think of all the big things that you want to do. So here's an example. I'll share my goals for 2019, my big goals. And my big goal is to earn over $200,000 in my coaching business.
Okay.
Okay, that's my big goal. That's one of them. The other big goal is for me to not only publish the book that I'm finishing, but to also publish another book in 2019.
Okay.
So that's another big goal. The next goal I have for myself is to establish a membership site that's fit for 50-something lifestyle for women over 50, so that they can come and get a monthly access to training. So that's another big goal for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next one is to have a women's conference in the fall.
Oh, I love that. Oh, yeah.
So those are my big goals.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like I said, I have to break these down. When are these things going to happen? And so, but I brainstorm that. Now, personally, we're renovating our house. That's a personal goal. The second goal is for me to be able to have at least every month to have consistently see my grandkids and have an established flight there every month. That's a personal goal. My other personal goal is to continue with my health and to get even healthier, to where I'm off some of the medications that I'm taking. So those are some ideas, some of the examples of my big goals.
Okay.
So what I'd like you to do is to brainstorm in your business and in your personal life. I think there's spaces on this worksheet for, and I thought I put 10, but however many, you can write those in. But you don't have to do 10. Just do as many of them as you want, because once you write those big goals, then you're going to break them down, and you're going to pick 2.
Okay.
That you really want to achieve. And I suggest that one of them be a monetary goal in your business.
Okay.
Okay. The other can be, like you said, be one of the top stamp designers in wherever, so that could be another one. Online or whatever, being the best known, or in Shopify or in Etsy or whatever, Pinterest, however you want to do it. But one of your goals should, I believe, be a monetary goal.
Okay.
But brainstorm, because as you complete these goals, these other goals are going to come in, you're going to move them down.
Okay.
Okay, so I think I have here, pick 3 of in each category of those big goals.
Okay.
And you're going to write those down. And eventually you're going to write a plan on how you'll meet those goals.
Okay.
Okay. So once you have that established, then the next thing you want to do is you want to concentrate on we're going to concentrate on, I'm going to use as an example, your sales goals, your money goals. But you can do this in any of their other goals. So I use this because it's the more graphics, one that you can relate to much better. So what you want to do with your sales goals is that you want to get that annual amount. And if you look at this example on the screen, let's say this person wants to sell $50,000 in 2019 in their product or service, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very simple formula, and you'll see this all over, but we just, for some reason, people don't really think it works, but it works. So you divide that 50,000 by 12 so that you can get the monthly amount of money you would need to make in order to stay on track for your goals. Remember how we say the big goal breaks down to smaller goals.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
And you can even break it down further to what you will need to earn a week by dividing that 4166 by 4. Then you have what you need to earn for a week. And you can even take it down to your daily goal. And the reason you want to do this, and you want to put it somewhere prominent where you can see it as you go through your plan on how you're going to get to all of this stuff, you know, how you're going to get to your goal. Because if you're going to make $50,000 a year and you need to make 4,166 a month, then it's going to really depend on your product. Sometimes it's not going to be all about product. Sometimes it's going to be about something else that you have to think about your business that you can do to monetize. So this is what we talk about, stretching. So for me, if my goal is to do a 200,000 year, then I need to have each of those categories that we talked about. My conference has to be a part of that. My book sales have to be a part of that. My clients, coaching clients have to be a part of that. And that's going to determine, you know, how much I'm charging for my one-on-one clients. And then the fourth part of that will be the membership site. How much I know per month that I can, how many people I'll need to have in there in order for me to make that monthly goal. So I know that conference isn't gonna come into play until the fall. So I can you know, be behind, but all year I'm leading up to that. So that when it's time for me to roll that out, I know that I'll have a certain amount of women in attendance at a certain amount of money. Okay?
Okay.
So think about where you want to go and make sure that your goals are big, but you also want to make sure that you're going to adjust your product offering to reach it, because your product shouldn't drive your goal.
Okay.
So you may have to think of different ways to earn extra money if you have these ideas, or you're going to have to figure out other ways to get your product rather than just say on social media. You may have to try to get your product in some stores or something like that to where you're getting a bigger volume. Okay.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, so another good example, when I had my interior design business, I knew that I had to have a certain amount of sales from furniture, you know, flooring, accessories and all that. But when I didn't have a client in line, I would do color consultations. I would just go in people's houses and tell them what color to paint their houses and charge them $200. So I found a way to monetize my knowledge other than providing an actual physical product.
Oh, okay.
So think about those ways that you're adding to those different income avenues of income, so that, like I say, your product isn't driving your goal. The goal is driving what you're doing. okay?
Okay.
Because if you set a goal, set it based on what you really, really want and what that will do for you.
Okay.
So when we're talking about breaking down, this can be any number, it could be anything. Let's say if you want to speak at a certain number of, like me being a speaker, I used to speak a lot, I don't as much. Let's say if I wanted to speak at 7 conferences this year, then I would start with 7, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And know that and when I divide it by 12, it'll break it down to how many I need to do, so that, or I know I need to do at least 7 of them, but how am I going to stretch that out in my goals?
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
So break it down, no matter what it is. Take it from the biggest to the smallest, and then work toward the smallest, because that's going to help you reach the big.
Okay.
So like in this example, if you know you have to sell $148 a day, think about your product and what offering you could have that every day you could be assured that you have $148 coming in. Or every couple of days, let's say you know that in 3 days, if you sell for me, a coaching program, that one of my video series, and I know I'm charging $249, well then I'm already above that 148, so I can stretch it out a few days.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So any questions on how to take that big goal, especially a monetary goal, and break it into the smallest piece, and know that you start at the smallest piece?
Okay.
Because if you reach that and you reach it consistently, especially if you concentrate on your weekly amount, if you can reach that consistently, at the end of the year, you will have earned $50,000. And there's no mystery to that. That's a fact. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions?
No, that you
Okay.
did. I appreciate this. This is good. Yeah.
So what in the little worksheet I gave you, I want you to do that for your highest financial goal for your business. And then we're going to take this and, okay, so yeah, I need to earn this, but how am I going to, I don't know what this means. This is just money. So now we're going to break it down to the sale, the client. If you're working on clients, or if you're working on so you have a certain product, how many of those sales do you need in order to reach this goal? So that's that third part of it. This is your part of that plan.
Okay.
So, okay, you've broken it down to, this is what I need, but what does that mean?
Right.
So the first part of your strategy to get to that goal is determine what products do you offer. You have to track that. So make a list of your products and your pricing, if you have more than one. So my example, I know that I'm going to have a certain charge for this membership site when it comes out. I know what I charge for my personal one-on-ones. That's already established. I know when I bring my book out, it's going to be a $20 book. So that's already established. And for my conference, I haven't worked out those details, but I know that's something I can do down the line, because it's not coming to the fall. But I already have 3 price points that I can use in this example, so that I know how many people, and I'm going to call it a person, because you are selling to a person. So how many clients or how many customers do you have to sell in order to reach that goal? So first you determine the product,
Okay.
and then you have your price. So you're going to divide that big goal amount. If you look at the example, that $50,000,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to divide it by the price of that product or service. And I'm using the example of 649, which is one of my, it's like a 6-week program. So if you divide that 50,000 by the $649 for one client, it tells me I need to sell 77 clients for this one product in order to reach that $50,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
So if you put that number, whatever your number is, then let's say you put in, for, I know you have your stamps, and you put in $15. Well,
Okay.
that number is gonna be huge, right?
Right.
When you do that, when you do that division. So then it's up to you to determine, okay, so maybe I'll market my stamps as a pair and charge $40 for the pair instead of, you know what I'm saying? You can start
Yeah.
looking at
Okay.
that. Or I'm gonna also provide ink blots, some way to raise that amount. But you're gonna know exactly how many sales per year you'll need to make. So in this example, 77 clients at $649. So what is that? Still, that's a lot of people, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I can break it down because I know that I'm looking at this thing in a monthly, it started in monthlies. So I need 6 clients per month. Well, that's not as daunting as 77.
Right.
So that's like, oh, okay, only 6. That makes sense. I can do that if these are my goals. And then when you look at that, and I don't know why I put that $6 there, but if you look at that 6, that means I need like 1.5 client a week in order to make $50,000 a year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So plug in your numbers, and then so if I know that, okay, so I don't really want to try to get 77 clients of one-on-one. That's too much.
Mm-hmm.
But if I know that I can do the new membership site, and if I know I could bring in for each of those, if I charge like $27 a month for that, and I look at that for annual, what that means for me, I can divide that number and it'll tell me how many people I need in that.
Mm-hmm.
So I can do a mix of the different products and say, okay, so I want half of this to come from my membership site, right? So it's $25,000. Then I want a fourth of it to come from my one-on-ones, because that takes more time for me. And then the other fourth I want to come from between my conferences and my book sales.
Okay.
And for each of those, I know how many people that I have to sell in order to reach that goal. Does that make sense?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So Artisha, you in your hair business, I know you sell higher end hair, right?
Yes.
Okay, so then look at the different kinds of hair that you have. And for each of those brands, I don't know what your goal for yourself for the year is, but look at each of those brands and what percentage of that they can be, and it'll tell you, okay, so I need to sell this many people with the curly yaki, whatever. I don't know a lot about the hair, but that this brand I want, or I'm gonna have my if you do wigs here,
Mhm.
and if you do weaves yourself, then how
Right.
many of those do you have to actually do? How much do you earn per weave? And
Mhm.
then you can determine how many clients you need in the chair, how many, what do you call it? Hair. What do they come in?
The bundles.
Bundles. How many bundles of hair that you need to sell of each kind, and you have a strategy for growth. You have a strategy to reach your goals.
Well, I'll be opening up my store, so I have a storefront, so that's going to help boost up and hopefully get me to my goal, because my goal for the year is 150,000. So
Mm-hmm.
with the
We'll break
online
that down.
store and that, and, having the actual storefront, I think I'll be able to make it there. But I also have another business besides the hair business. So I have a production. I'm co-owner of a production company.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, that's going to bring in plus.
Right. And
So,
each of those are a separate strategy.
mm-hmm,
So you don't want to overwhelm yourself, but let's say you have 4 different strategies that you're working toward.
mm-hmm,
Um, one being the hair cells,
mm-hmm,
one being the weaves you're actually doing in your salon or whatever.
mm-hmm,
The other, let's say you have 3, and the other is your production.
mm-hmm.
So you can divide that 150 you want to do. Which ones are going to be, I would say you would want to do the bulk of those with your hair and with your weaves. And then
Mm-hmm.
your production company would have the lower percentage of that 150,000, right?
Actually, I really think that they will even out because so far, I have 4, yeah, I have 4 things set up already for 2019.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So just do
So,
it in thirds. Do 50,000 each. Break it down to how many sales you need to make in each of those.
okay.
So if you have 4 productions, that's easy, 1 per quarter. You know what I'm saying? So that's an
I
easy
wish they were 1 per quarter. I actually have it February, March, and September.
but that's fine. You can still look at it as a quarterly amount to reach
Yeah.
that 50,000. Okay.
Okay.
So, but the whole idea here is that you're giving yourself that roadmap we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot stress how when I did this, when I broke my businesses down to where I knew exactly what I needed to do. I did this in network marketing too. How many people did I need to sign up to reach my financial goal?
Okay.
Now, there's another part of this that it becomes something that your research will give you.
Mm-hmm.
And a good example is I knew that when I had my design business, if I talked to 100 people, if I got in front of 100 people, either through a postcard or through a newsletter or through a home show, if I saw 100 people, 10 of those people, 10% were going to set up an appointment and buy from me.
Okay.
Okay. So I also know now in my online, my coaching business, that because it is a more personal face-to-face business, that if I talk to 100 people, which I just really never do because I don't have to, that number would be greater.
Right.
So let's say if I talk to 20 women, half of those women are going to set up an appointment with me.
Right.
And then my goal then is to talk to them and convince them that I'm the person they need to work with. And then from there, I may get 4 or 5 of those. So your numbers start to become clear to you as you start to build business.
Okay.
But if you just look up, you can get research on anything.
Mm-hmm.
So Google the typical sales pattern for hair sales. There's typical sales pattern for crafts, it will give you a breakdown of conversion rates, whether you're online or offline. It just
Okay.
takes some research. So research the typical conversion so that you know if you need 77 clients for the year, then, and if it's you need to talk to 200 people,
Mm-hmm.
and not just talk to them, but you have to have 200 appointments set
Right.
in order to get those 77 people to make a sale. Then that gives you something to work with, right?
Yeah, right.
So you want to break it down, and that's the secret to goal setting. And it works on anything. It works on weight loss. If you want to lose a certain amount of pounds, then you just say, okay, there's 12 months in a year, and I want to lose 20 pounds. How many pounds do I need to lose? And you want to lose it in 6 months. How many pounds do I need to lose a month to reach it? How many pounds a week? And that's something that you can track.
Okay.
So it's you just want to be able to take what this little worksheet I gave you, make it your own, but use the formulas and create your strategy. And
Okay.
then on the other side of that strategy, and I didn't get into the specifics of this because it's different for every industry, but what do you need to do to reach people? How do you reach people? What's the best way to reach people?
Social media right now.
For you, that's very true. For hair,
Marketing, yeah. Marketing, social media.
right. And I think every business needs to be on social media, but I can tell you that the majority of my clients came from personal speaking engagement, one-on-one, talking to people, having a vendor booth, and they come to my vendor table.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on how it works out for you. One of that could be, you may find that doing vendor events is your best way to get your product out.
Mm-hmm.
You'll know that as you start to build your business.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But
that is one of the things that I was thinking about too. And then I was thinking about YouTube, though that's one of the things that scares me to no end. Because
but that's what sells. That's how you sell a craft product like you have. People have to see it. They have to see it in action.
Mm-hmm.
They have to know what it can do and know how creative it can be.
Mm-hmm.
So then that's part of your strategy, is to do a YouTube a week. I don't know. I'm saying that's something you'll have to think about, because if you need to reach on a weekly basis 100 people,
Mm-hmm.
then you're going to have to find ways to do that. And that just comes from looking at all the ways that you market. And of course, so that we have social media, you have for you doing vendor shows or having in-home presentations of how to use the stamp. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But look at the ways that you do that. Networking, going to networking events, sharing your business, doing your newsletter through email. You need to build a big email list so that you can share your products via email. So, but that's the other part of this. Once you know what you need, now how do I go after it? How do I get to it? What are those things that I do? And how often do I do them? But in that, like I said, that becomes more clear as you have clear, established goals.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Any questions about this? Because this is the meat of it. This is how you make money. This is how you become successful in anything. And that is to start at the smallest part of it so that you see, and you see the whole idea. You saw that when I said motivation, you have to be motivated to keep going. And when you break your goals to these smaller amounts, that's your motivation.
Mm-hmm.
You reach that goal. Let's say one of your goals is to create an email list of, 5,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can break that down. How many people do I need to sign up for my email per week, per day?
Mm-hmm.
And you can do the daily. So how do you do that? Generally, it's a lead magnet. It's put something out there where people will share their email with you for exchange of something. Like me, I build my email list through doing free workshops and offering them for replay, because most of the people don't even attend, but they see the replay and they go on, and they've already given their email. So I've captured that, even though they haven't, they didn't attend. But the whole purpose is to build my email list. So you want to make sure you do that. Someone just texted. It was going to be online here. So anyway, that's the meat of it. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Yes, definitely. Mm-hmm.
So I want you to take the time in the next couple days at least between now and the beginning of the year, and not only think about these, write them down, put them in your own a little folder or a little journal, and keep these goals close to you.
Okay.
Okay.
And create those strategies. And then as you're going through the year, you'll be able to track them and know where you are. And if you see that, okay, I'm not doing something right, then you think about the mix of what you're doing. As an entrepreneur, you're going to get online. How are other people doing it? You're going to find out a way to get to the people you need to get to.
Mm-hmm.
And a part of that is knowing your target market. That's another whole training on how to actually get to the targeted people who need your product. But those are the things that you want to learn and have at your disposal when you are taking these goals. But the first part is to know where you're going and why you're going there and how you're going to get there. Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
So you're ready to get those goals set for 2019.
Yes.
Okay. And as you go through this process, I will send out the replay so you can go back through and if you need to refresh how to fill out these sheets and make copies and do these for not just change them up and do them for every aspect of your goals for the year.
Okay.
But only do those top 3. You want to concentrate there because you don't want to get so stretched out that you lose focus on getting any of them done. So brainstorm what you want to do. Just get at least 10 big goals if you can. Select the top 3 that you want to accomplish, and then break them down into start with your annual, monthly, weekly, and if it's appropriate, daily.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Okay. And then the last thing I want to do is I told you I'm actually starting the 50-something Women in Business Success Club.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm starting with the waiting list for those who want to just get details and find out what that's about. So if you would like me to send you a link to the details, and you can get on the waiting list, I'm not going to roll this out until mid-January, but at least this will give you some details on what it's going to do, whether it will work for you. The whole idea of this Success Club is that it will teach you all the aspects of running your business, and you can get it at any time that you want it. You're not limited to being on a webinar. So we're going to have an exclusive Facebook group. I'm going to do a monthly mastermind, and it's a call that will answer questions of what's going on in your business, and you will have videos, worksheets, workbooks, all the things that you need to run your business on a daily basis in the back office of that Success Club. We're going to have a directory of women in business so that you can share each other's services and use each other's services. So I will send you a link to that, and if you want to be on the waiting list, just go ahead and fill it out. And once I get all the details worked out, I can tell you it's going to be a very low cost monthly. And I believe that in the beginning, I think I'm going to open it up to those first people for like $1 to join. So, but you'll get details on that. So,
Okay.
any questions before we go? I know we're within an hour.
No, not me.
I
Okay, was
can't
this
think of
helpful?
anything.
Was
Yes,
this helpful for you?
very helpful. Yes.
Good.
Very helpful. And I like the idea of the Women in Business Success Club too. I like that, Cheryl.
Very
Well,
empowering.
I know for you, I know Artesia, are you one of the main bosses?
Yes.
Yes, so you already understand the benefit of being in, having that monthly that access at any time
Yes.
to training. But for Wanda, I know we've been working together and just launching your business, and this will give you that everyday support that you need to really get to that level that you want to in your business.
Okay.
So I think you were probably the catalyst for me making this decision.
Poor thing. I probably bugged her so much.
No, but I saw that, doing the 8-week or whatever sessions get you so far, and then you're left hanging with trying to figure it out. So this was the reason for doing it. So anyway, ladies. And for those of you who are getting the replay, you are also going to receive the link to the Success Club, and feel free to put your name on the waiting list. So if we don't have any more questions, you guys have a great evening, and thanks a lot for joining the webinar or the masterclass. And I just wish you all the success, and we'll talk.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.